Sportscenter, where we put on the hits. You might want to call this Yankee the supernatural, but the Rangers try to fend off the sweep. The Yankees' hearts are in the game, but their thoughts are elsewhere.
Okay, Lord, you tested me again, but, you know, I must deal with it.
And why would the Red Sox need directions at Fenway?
Straight in! Safe, safe, yes!
The Indians put their money on a bobtail nag.
He's a horse, you know. I'm proud of him today, you know. He's a nice guy.
But will Kevin Brown be coming out of Gate 3 on Saturday? How much of a burden will the Lions carry on Sunday? And the Hoop Hall of Fame gets another homer in Springfield. So leap, run, or slide to the nearest TV. Just don't miss SportsCenter now.
Hi again, everybody. Glad you could join us for this edition of SportsCenter. I'm Mike Greenberg alongside John Butchie-Gross.
Ahead this hour, John Elway has another injury. Chris Berman's 2-minute drill comes from Fenway Park, and we'll hear from Darryl Strawberry the day after he was diagnosed with colon cancer. But first, his teammates taking the field trying to sweep the Rangers.
Yeah, and doing it with Darryl very much on their minds. About 2 hours before the start of Game 3 in Arlington, a power outage that lasted 4 minutes interrupted press conferences and wiped out the scoreboards. All this, of course, after a power outage at Yankee Stadium that lasted 48 hours and wiped the Rangers off the scoreboards. Only once in the course of their regular season did Texas score as few as 1 run in a 2-game span. But choosing the wrong time to do it again left them on the brink as they hosted a Yankee team that had won 4 straight Game 3s on the road. And right now they're looking to make it 5, and they're in very good shape to do just that. The Yankees leading 4-0 in a ball game that was delayed well over by 3 hours by rain. David Cone went 5 2/3, gave up just 2 hits, no runs, 6 strikeouts, and stands to be the winner. Paul O'Neill, one of the offensive stars, 2 for 4 in the ball game with a home run. Shane Spencer, 1 for 3 with a 3-run homer. Spencer continues to be the story of the season. Jeff Nelson on to do the pitching now as the Yankees try and end the Rangers season. Don't forget, we'll have plenty of post-game coverage right here on SportsCenter as soon as they finish in Arlington. Meanwhile, rain or shine, win or lose, what happened on the field in Arlington was, in the scheme of things, much less important to the Yankees and even the Rangers than what will happen Saturday in a New York hospital. That's where Darryl Strawberry will undergo surgery to remove a cancerous tumor from his colon. His teammates had his number sewn into their caps, so did several of the Rangers, whose manager Johnny Oates spoke for them, saying, "Baseball is important, but we have to step aside and think about human beings." On the eve of his surgery, Strawberry sat down for an exclusive interview with our Jeremy Schaap.
I think I feel good now because I know I don't have to go through that process of not knowing. And the thing about it is I've just been sitting around, you know, for the last week or so with, you know, tremendous pain in my stomach and not knowing what's wrong with me. Am I eating something wrong, or am I not, you know, drinking enough water, or what's going on? But I think it's a big relief to me now that I know what's going on and I know I have to deal with it.
Stay with us. You will see more of Jeremy Schaap's exclusive interview with Darryl Strawberry a little later in SportsCenter. John.
20 years ago to the day, Bucky Dent hit his 3-run shot heard around New England in the '78 one-game playoff. The Red Sox hosted the Indians in Game 3 of their best-of-5 Friday afternoon. In '78, Dennis Eckersley was a 23-year-old member of the Red Sox who won 20 games that season. 20 years later, a day shy of his 44th birthday, Eckersley is once again a member of the Sox, this time as a reliever and this time as a participant. He wasn't in '78. To the game in Fairfield, Connecticut's Charles Nagy against Norwalk, Connecticut's Mo Vaughn. Strike 3. Nagy 1-2-3 in the first. Brett Saberhagen also had it going on early against Jim Thome. Toughest thing in sports is to hit a baseball. The easiest thing is to miss it. 64-degree day in Fenway Park. 2 batters later, Brian Giles. Saberhagen retires 9 of the first 10 batters he faced. He finished with 10 Ks. Bottom 4, Nagy facing John Valentin. Darren Lewis runs on the pitch. Back goes Dave Justice. Lewis going to get back to first base.
That wind's going to stop it. Stayed in. Safe. Safe. Yes. Time.
Great job, man. Great hustle back.
That's first base coach Dave Joust. Meanwhile, after a Vaughn single, Nomar facing Nagy. Good play by Travis Fryman, but not enough time to get the speedy Garcia Parra, and the Red Sox lead 1-0. Lewis scores. Boston's faithful. The curse in this pivotal Game 4 could they end it? In the 5th, Jim Thome, milk. Deep to center. Off Saberhagen, the first hit of the game. In the 5th, his 8th career postseason homer, ties the game at 1. And check it out again. Thome, the blast, and this is our center field camera person. Look out! White balance, rack focus, iris up, filter A, please. Top of the 6th, tied at 1, Kenny Lofton. Trot Nixon could be the Red Sox full-time right fielder next year. Can't make the play. Lofton's only hit of the day, hitting .417 in the series. Indians lead 2-1. Still, 2-1 Indians. Elizabeth, it's the big one. Manny Ramirez, the 3rd Tribe homer of the day. Nothing but net. It's 3-1 with Pedro Martinez looking on. Would he start game 4 if the Sox lose this? Nagy's wife, Jacqueline, and his mom looking on and getting Mike Stanley for the ground out. Stanley was 0 for 4. Next batter, Troy O'Leary. He was 0 for 4. He's hitting .083 in this series. Nagy, 6 pitches to get through the 7th. Bottom of the 8th, Trot Nixon on 2nd. Nagy facing Darren Lewis. Can the Red Sox get a big 2-out hit, cut the lead to 1? Nagy, 15 ground ball outs in the game, only 6 through the air. Through 8 innings, he throws just 89 pitches. 3-1 Indians, top of 9. This is a pretty good pitch by Dennis Eckersley. But Manny Ramirez, who was 2 years old when Eckersley made his major league debut for these Indians, Indians lead 4-1. So bottom 9, and Charles Nagy leaves the game for Mike Jackson. He had 40 saves in the regular season and 45 chances. 1 out, Mo. Wall ball. A long single. Vaughn 2 for 4, hitting .462 in the series. But it didn't matter. He only got a single. Next batter, Nomar. Big Punisher. Crushing the pitch over the left field wall. Nothing but net. Nomar's 2-run big pun makes it 4-3. Meanwhile, Mike Hargrove needs some relief. But, of course, it's only been Nomar and Mo in this series. Troy O'Leary, as we mentioned, struggling. Indians win. Charles Nagy wins. He's owned the Red Sox in his career. Jacqueline is happy. And the Indians are winners. 5 hits, 4 solo homers for the Tribe. They're 1 win away from the ALCS. Since the Red Sox won Game 5 of the '86 World Series behind St. George, Utah's Bruce Hurst, they're 1-15 in the playoffs. They will send Pete Shurik to the hill in Game 4 Saturday at 4 o'clock against Bartolo Colon, which means Pedro Martinez will not pitch on 3 days rest, with the Red Sox facing elimination.
I'm just really excited that I was able to go out and, do my job, and the hitters came through for us. We didn't get many hits. I mean, Brett threw a great game, and you give up 3 hits, and I was just able to make those hits stand up.
Unfortunately, giving up the long ball today really hurt us. So the bottom line is, pitched all right, but didn't pitch good enough to win.
Saves didn't walk a lot of guys. Made a couple mistakes, and it's a shame that's the way the game went. I think we got to make sure when we get those opportunities early in the game that we can cash in. A good pitching performance and an effort like that, we got to try to win that game.
Obviously, you're up 2 games to 1 in a 5-game series. That the momentum's on your side, but that can quickly change. We've got to go out and take care of business. The Red Sox are not going to hand it to us. We've got to go out and win it.
With his 2 home runs in Game 3, Manny Ramirez has more postseason homers than any other active player. Don't forget, he's only 26 years old. He has split them evenly with 4 in the Division Series play, 4 in LCS play, and 3 in the World Series. Mickey Mantle, of course, the all-time leader in postseason home runs with 18. On Thursday, Jim Leyland said goodbye Miami. On Monday, he may say hello Colorado. Rocky ownership is planning to fly to western Pennsylvania to meet with Leyland with the intention of securing him as their next manager. The Rockies fired Don Baylor on Monday after 6 seasons with Colorado, and the Rocks may want to act quickly because the Dodgers have added Leyland to their list of possible candidates. Meanwhile, anticipating Leyland's exit, the Marlins obviously had a plan B and immediately initiated it. John Bowles is their new manager. You might remember John Bowles. He's the man Jim Leyland replaced after Bowles finished the '96 season after the Fish fired Rene Latchman. Bowles signed a 3-year deal.
SportsCenter is brought to you by 1-800-COLLECT, the easy way to save.
There in the top of the ninth in Arlington, the Yankees leading the Rangers by a 4-0 score, looking for their first postseason sweep since the 1981 American League Championship Series against Oakland. The hitting stars in this one, Paul O'Neill, who hit his 6th career Division Series home run. That's the most by any player. And Shane Spencer, the youngster who continues to amaze. A 3-run homer in the ballgame. He now has 12 home runs in 73 at-bats, which is once every 6.1 trips to the plate. We'll have plenty of post-game coverage as soon as they finish in Arlington.
The frozen tundra of Fenway Park.
Wow. What a treat it is to be standing here in one of the most famous football stadiums of all time, Fenway Park. You remember the famed defensive end, the pass rusher for the Patriots, the Green Monster. You remember the splendid splinter, the great wide receiver the Patriots had? Oh, their middle linebacker, Carl Hacksaw Yastrzemski, and the big burly running back, Jim Cannonball Rice. They all played right here. All right, they all played left field right here. That's about 50 years of Red Sox left fielders. But you know, the Patriots played at Fenway too. The Boston Patriots of the old AFL played here for 6 years, from 63.
Thank you, Chris. Still to come, we'll take a look at what's going on inside the head of the baddest man on the planet as he fights to try and fight again. And speaking of uppercuts, the Astros survived this one from Jimmy Leyritz. We'll preview Game 3 of that title fight when Sportscenter continues.
3-2. Right center field on the run. Edmonds with a dive, and he makes the catch. Holy smoke, what a grab by Jimmy Edmonds. The wide, here comes the 1-0. Swung on, best it deep toward right. Burnett's on the run toward the corner. Looks up. He did it. It's out of here. Sosa with a home run, number 64. Yeah! Deep to left. Goodbye, number 65 is in the history books for Big Ben. The 2-2. Ford Belton, line drive, center field. Grissom back. He did it. Number 65, and there is no doubt about it.
In 75, and since he left the Cubbies after the 92 season, Mad Dog is 7-1 with a 1.71 ERA in his career against Chicago. Saturday night in Game 3, Maddox goes up against Kerry Wood, who last pitched August the 31st. Will he be ready? Shelley Smith reports.
Deep in an 0-2 playoff hole, the Chicago Cubs worked out for about an hour in the Wrigley Field drizzle on Friday and talked about the looming pressure on Game 3 starter Kerry Wood.
I don't really feel a lot of pressure. You know, it's just it's still a baseball game. You know, it's you know, the season is on the line at this point, but you know, the mound's still 60 feet 6 inches from the plate, and you know, I still got to get hitters out.
I have a feeling he may throw the first pitch about 112 miles an hour right up into the second row, but and I hope he does, to be honest with you, because then it'll be really tough to dig in off of him.
One lineup change for the Braves. Eddie Perez will replace Game 2 hero Javi Lopez behind the plate. Braves manager Bobby Cox knows that closing out the Cubs against Wood, who is 9-1 at home, will be a challenge.
We faced him 2 or 3 times in a regular season, and he had good stuff all the times. We missed some opportunities to score off of him when I thought we could, but you could see why the baseball world was were raving about him.
Joining me now is ESPN baseball analyst Dave Campbell. Dave, Kerry Wood has given us some great moments this season. Greg Maddux has given us great moments this decade, and yet both have had to make mechanical adjustments this year.
Yeah, surprising for Maddux. With Kerry Wood, a young pitcher, I talked to Phil Regan, the pitching coach. What he wants Kerry to do is draw an imaginary line between the pitching mound and home plate, and he wants him to step on that line. In other words, go straight towards the hitter. That'll keep him from throwing across his body. What Kerry had been doing was stepping too much towards third base. What that did was to make his control erratic and also put a lot of torque on his elbows. So that's the one thing they're going to look for with Kerry. Nobody in the history of baseball has had a better delivery than Greg Maddux for the last 7 years. But one of his keys was keeping his chin tucked in behind the shoulder as he was going to the plate. What the Braves think they saw when Maddux struggled in the second half of the year was dropping the shoulder and the head coming up. Maddux, a control pitcher, that is just that little flaw that caused him to be a little out of sync.
The Cubs lineup 1 through 6 is hitting .093 with just one extra base hit. Obviously, if they want to get back in this series, they've got to start hitting.
Yeah, I mean, if Kerry Wood gives them a great job, they still have to score some runs, and they've been hard to come by. I mean, Sammy and Mark Grace are going to have to step up. Lance Johnson has hit a little bit of tough luck. He's hit the ball well, but they've got to get some guys on, maybe get Kerry a couple of runs early, and against Maddox, that's no easy task.
Okay, for Dave Campbell, I'm Shelley Smith. Let's go back to the studio.
In their only head-to-head matchup this season, Kerry Wood threw 122 pitches over 7 2/3 with 11 strikeouts, not allowing a run. Wood did walk 5, Maddox only 1. The Cubs won 3-0. Chicago has won all 3 of Wood's starts against the Braves this season.
In 1935, Gene Autry made a film called Tumbling Tumbleweeds, which made him a major star as the nation's first singing cowboy. He continued to sing for years, selling more than 100 million records, including Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. When he gave up performing, he became one of the most successful businessmen in the world, amassing a fortune worth hundreds of millions of dollars, including ownership of baseball's Angels for more than 30 years. Gene Autry died on Friday after a long illness. He was 91 years old. Autry made, coincidentally, 91 films and had an estimated personal fortune of $320 million in 1995. He often said his greatest disappointment was that the Angels never won the pennant. He owned the team since its inception as an American League franchise in 1961. President Clinton said Friday, an entire generation of Americans has lost a beloved friend. Gene Autry dead at the age of 91. Still to come on SportsCenter, it's all over in Arlington, and this young man is the story. The Yankees go to the ALCS. Highlights coming up. Cone honoring his teammate Darryl Strawberry, as many of his teammates would. Bottom one, Cone facing Tom Goodwin, who strikes opposed. As you see, the game began at 8:22 p.m. Eastern time. It would end considerably later than that. Top four, Aaron Seeley facing Tim Raines, who is perplexed at the strike zone of John Hirschbeck. That would be a continuing theme. Bottom four, no score. Cone responds. Juan, gone. Later in the inning, Pudge Rodriguez facing Cone, and John, I smell a sequence. First pitch, foul ball. Next pitch, called strike 2 on the outside. Then it's Cone, and it's Pudge. He's chasing. Cone fans the All-Star on 3 pitches, no score through 4. Fifth inning, more Ranger defense. Pudge Rodriguez never fall asleep when he has the ball. Ouch. Scott Brocious learns that the hard way. Pudge pumped. Take another look. Brocious twists the ankle on first base, going back to the bag. He'd go down. He's in some pain. Good news for the Yankees. He did not leave the ball game. Bottom 5, 1 out, 1 on. David Cone still has it going. Here comes a double play. Royce Clayton strikes out. Todd Zeile caught in a rundown. Jeter and Martinez will track him down, and it's Joe Girardi who winds up making the tag, which means Girardi credited with 2 putouts and an assist on the same play. Yankee fans feeling confident, though their spelling leaves something to be desired. Top 6, still no score. Seeley facing Paul O'Neill, and Paul O'Neill has just left the building. Aaron Seeley hadn't given up a home run in his last 8 regular season starts. That goes by the boards. Yankees take a 1-0 lead. Dick Bosman better get on the phone, says we got issues out here. Meanwhile, Shane Spencer going over things with his hitting coach Chris Chambliss, and it would pay later in the inning. 2 on. Shane Spencer to the plate. You got to be kidding me. His second home run of the series. Shane Spencer. There has not been a Shane this successful since Alan Ladd. 9 home runs and 33 at-bats. Yankees up 4-0. Johnny Oates wants serenity now. Bottom 6, 1 out. Mark McLemore knows into every life a few drops of rain must fall, and so must a David Cone straight change. Second out of the inning. Last out for an awfully long time. Before the inning would end, heavy rain dousing the field. The game delayed 3 hours and 16 minutes. It appeared for a time as though it would not get started again, but with all the scheduling conflicts that would have come up if they hadn't gotten it going again, Major League Baseball desperately needed to get this started again. Well over 3 hours later, they were playing baseball. Top 7. Yankee team that usually takes a lot of pitches swings at all 6 pitches that were thrown in that inning. They wanted to get this thing over with as quickly as they could. They were just swinging away at everything. Little harmless fly ball here. Derek Jeter striking out on 3 straight pitches. Yankees swung at all 6 pitches in the inning. We will segue now to the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs. This coming at 2:26 Eastern time. Mariano Rivera gets Will Clark to ground to second, and just like that, the ball game was over, and the Yankees had advanced to the American League Championship Series. Shane Spencer 1 for 3 with a homer and 3 driven in. David Cone 5 2/3, 2 hits, 6 strikeouts for the win. The Yankees sweep a playoff series for the first time since the 1981 ALCS against the A's. Texas, meanwhile, has dropped 6 straight postseason meetings against New York. The Rangers' one run, the fewest ever scored in any 3-game postseason series. Texas hitting just 141 in the 3 games. The ALCS will start Tuesday night at Yankee Stadium, and there's no question who the story is. It's Shane Spencer, who has just about carried the Yankees over the last 2 weeks. His 9 home runs are half of the team's entire output during this stretch since September 18th, and he's hitting a team-best .471 with a team-high 24 driven in, and the Yankees are 12-2 in those ball games.
Well, the Yankees await the winner of the Red Sox-Indians series. Will Pedro start Game 4 with the Sox 1 game away from elimination? The answer when SportsCenter returns. When Dan Duquette introduced Pedro Martinez to the Boston media last spring after signing Martinez to his long-term deal, he said, quote, "The Red Sox are back in business." Well, one more loss to Cleveland and the Red Sox are out of business, which poses the question. Facing elimination, do the Red Sox start Martinez on 3 days rest in Saturday's Game 4, even though he hasn't done so all season? That decision belongs to manager Jimmy Williams. Mark Schwartz reports from Fenway Park.
Not only does Jimmy Williams bear Beantown's burden of 80 years of futility and the prospect of being second-guessed by the entire Red Sox nation, he even faces pressure from his ace, Pedro Martinez, who wants the ball in Game 4.
Everybody asked. I was denied, and I understand that and I respect that.
Any way you think he'll change his mind?
I keep hoping that he does.
Temptation, yeah. Come to my senses, no. That's my opinion. I'll live with it.
He'll live with Pete Schurik, bought from the Astros after the trade deadline. A man who's won just once for the Red Sox in 8 starts.
Regardless of what other people believe, that's the right decision for our team. Pete Schurek's a good pitcher, and I believe in him.
If he's going tomorrow, then, you know, we're going to battle for him. And if whoever Pedro is ready to pitch and Jimmy changes his mind, then, you know, we're out there.
Are you comfortable waiting to see what happens tomorrow, or would you just as soon get out there and try to win that 4th game?
I'll be very impatient, especially if we don't start off the way we want.
The Indians insist they would not be deflated to see Martinez in Game 4. In fact, in some respects, they say it beats the alternative.
Would it be even more difficult to face the prospect of Pedro in a 5th game than in a 4th game?
Sure it would. I mean, if they win the game tomorrow and you got to beat Pedro Martinez on Sunday, you got your hands full.
I'm thinking positive, and I think that the team is going to do it tomorrow without me.
Joining me now, ESPN baseball analyst Kevin Kennedy, a man who has actually managed Pedro Martinez in the minor leagues. Skip, Pedro comes into your office, says, please pitch me in Game 4. What do you do?
Pedro Martinez would not have to come into my office. I would have already gone to him, and probably before today's game. That's my opinion. He's pitching Game 4, whether they're up 2 games to 1 or down 2 games to 1. For me, he's pitching tomorrow, either way.
But consider this. Travis Fryman and the Indians just told us psychologically it would be tougher to face Pedro Martinez in Game 5, because it would mean, of course, that Boston has already won Game 4 with Schurik.
Well, there is no psychology involved if there is no Game 5. And in all respects to Jimmy Williams' opinion and Pete Schurik, I respect that, but when you got one big bullet left in Pedro Martinez, to me, you got to throw it out there. He has to pitch twice in this series. If he doesn't pitch tomorrow, he may not pitch twice in this series.
Well, the Sox say they do believe in lefty Pete Schurik. In 4 starts at the end of the season, his ERA was 1.9, and in 3 previous postseason starts, 1.69 for the Reds. But he is not Pedro Martinez. For Kevin Kennedy, I'm Mark Schwartz. Now back to the studio.
He's no John F. Kennedy either. Of course, in this amazing baseball season, how cool would a Red Sox-Yankee ALCS would be? Of course, Sox must win Game 4 and 5. Schurik has pitched against the Tribe this year as a member of the Astros in an interleague game. Colon has not pitched well against Boston in his career. Of course, the Red Sox, a good fastball-hitting team. Colon will bring the heat in Game 4 on Saturday against Schurik. And again, if the Sox win, it will be Pedro in Game 5.
He leads the Yankees in hits, homers, and RBIs, and you'll hear from him as SportsCenter continues. I didn't know who Shane Spencer was, but since September 18th, he has been without question the Yankees' most valuable player. In that stretch of 14 games, he's hitting .471 with 9 home runs and 24 RBIs. In fact, he has more home runs per trips to the plate this year than Mark McGwire. He was the hero again as the Yankees swept the Rangers in Arlington, and after the ballgame, he spent some time with our Melissa Stark.
right, thanks. Congratulations on sweeping the Rangers. It probably feels a long way off from being in Columbus, Ohio, where you were just over a month ago. How overwhelming is all of this for you?
It hasn't settled in, you know. I'm enjoying it, but hopefully it'll be a nice winter, though.
All right, I saw you talking to your hitting coach just after you missed that breaking pitch in the second inning where you flied out to center. What adjustments did you make at that point so that by the third time you faced Aaron Seeley in the sixth inning, you homered off of him?
Well, they said he had, his curveball was slow. He mixed the speeds on it, and he threw me a good pitch to hit, but it was the first time I saw his curveball. Maybe I shouldn't have swung, and I was just a little bit out in front. And, he's not trying to throw by you, so he's trying to pick the spots, and I just relaxed and waited a little longer this time.
All right, in the sixth inning, you guys had a four-run lead, and David Cohn pitching so well at that point, just giving up 2 hits. Then the rain delay. How did that affect the team?
Oh, he was in a rhythm. He wanted to pitch. He was in there he's like, 20 minutes, I'm still in. I'm still coming back. And we had him down, and it gave them a second win, but our relievers came in there and shut him down. Our pitching staff just did an outstanding job.
All right, Shane, 9 home runs last month. You could arguably be called Mr. September. At this point now, having this home run in Game 3, you think you're making an early run to be called the next Mr. October?
No, I'm not worried about that, but I hope they keep coming.
All right, thanks a lot, Shane. A sensational postseason so far. Let's go back to the studio.
All right, Melissa, thank you very much. Coming up,
from the worldwide leader in sports, this is Sportscenter. Scores, highlights, analysis, and us, John Butchergrass, Mike Greenberg.
Coming up this hour, the Red Sox leave their ace in the hole. The Lions look to dethrone #1, and we'll update Darryl Strawberry's condition for you. But, John, we start in Chicago, where the present met the future.
That's right, Michael. 1 win away from a sweep, the Braves sent their ace and baseball's ace to the hill at Wrigley. No one has won more games in the 90s than Greg Maddux. However, since the All-Star break, Mad Dog is just 6-7 and had just 1 win in September. Kerry Wood didn't even pitch in September, yet the Cubs are hoping their 21-year-old can keep their season alive. Would it be the night Chicago died or survived? Top of the first, no score. 3 pitches into the game, and Walt Weiss almost takes off Kerry Wood's head. Wood recovered. Jim Riggleman not worried about his rookie phenom. 4 batters later, 2 on for Ryan Klesko. 5 strikeouts on the night for Wood. Bottom 2, Henry Rodriguez facing Greg Maddux. Going to left, Rodriguez, doink, off the door. Digging into second with a double, Cub fans starving for some kind of adulation, throwing their candy bars on the field, or O. Henry bars, despite just a double. Greg Maddux has seen enough. He'll wait in the dugout. Rodriguez amused. 2 batters later, Maddux back in the game, and outside corner on Jose Hernandez to end the threat. Maddux at the dish. Top of 3, slaps one to left center. He wants more. Digging, churning, sliding, safe me. A double. Next batter, Walt Weiss. The soft liner. Kerry Wood adjusts, waits on it, and squeezes it. 2 batters later, Chipper Jones. Tyler Houston, a problem. Pass ball, Maddux scores the first run of the game, 1-0 Atlanta. Bottom 4, Sammy. Up, fans on Waveland up. Sammy, sit down. Maddux striking out Sosa, Scottie Pippen, 7th inning stretch. Take me out to the ball game. Singer looking on. Top of 8, still 1-0. 2 on for Gerald Williams. Vile weeds over the head of H-Rod. Here comes Keith Lockhart. He'll come around to score. Braves lead 2-0. After a walk, it loads the bases. Eddie Perez in the house. Eddie Perez out of the house. 9 for 20 lifetime with the bases loaded. Grand slam. Second career of Rod Beck, who gives it up. 6-0 Braves. Braves can taste the victory. Cubs hanging their heads. Bottom 8th, Chicago tries to rally. Jose Hernandez to center to lead off the inning. Next batter, Sandy Martinez. Watch the ball shoot forward right there. Hits the infield portion of the grass and dirt. Then Lance Johnson singles to load the bases. That would end Greg Maddux's night. In comes Kerry Lightenberg. With Sosa on deck, Jim Riggleman needs a miracle. Mickey Morandini, not enough. In front of the track, Hernandez will score, but the Cubs are still down 6-1. They need a long fly. Sosa up with 2 on. Lightenberg gets the whiff. Sammy expanding his strike zone. He was 0 for 4 with 2 Ks on Saturday. To the bottom of the 9th, Lightenberg gets Hernandez to fly to center, and the Braves are winners. Andrew Jones makes the squeeze, and the Braves win 6-2. Sammy Sosa's incredible season is over, but not before one more thank you to his beloved bleacher bums out there and right, throwing his hat into the stands, also batting gloves as well. So Sammy's incredible season is over. Why can't the Cubs get pitchers like Greg Maddux? For the last 7 years, there hasn't been an NLCS without the Braves participating. The NLCS starts next Wednesday. The Cubs score 4 runs in the 3 games. The last time the Cubs were in the playoffs, Maddux gave up 12 runs in 7 1/3 against the Giants back in '89. Now, as a Brave, he sends them and Sammy Sosa packing with the big help of Eddie Perez's grand slam.
I hit it good. I never thought the ball was going out because the way the wind was blowing, and you know, I'm glad the ball went out.
I believe good pitching beats good hit, and you know, if you pitch a good game, you can beat anybody, and you know, you pitch a bad game, anybody can beat you. So you know, we're just glad that we took care of ourselves, and you know, we'll wait, and whoever we play, we play.
I have to say that it is real disappointing. I'm not very happy for the last 3 games that we was playing. And, you know, I feel that if I would have given my life to make it to the World Series or playoff, I would have done that.
The Braves outscored the Cubs 15-4. The Cubs starters matched up surprisingly well with the Braves, but it was the bullpen that was the difference. Both bullpens tossed 6 1/3. Cub relievers allowed 9 runs. The Brave relievers did not allow anything.
In a postseason that's been filled with brilliant pitching from the Yankees and the Braves to Randy Johnson and Pedro Martinez, the best performance, hands down, came from Kevin Brown. He made the big unit look small in Game 1 of Padres Astros, working 8 innings, allowing 2 hits, no runs, and striking out 16. That's just 1 away from Bob Gibson's postseason record. With the series even at a game apiece, Bruce Bochy decided once again to play his trump card in Game 3. He said, quote, "It's best of 3 from here, and we're going with our best." The Astros, meanwhile, saved Johnson, going instead with Mike Hampton. There's Brown, and when you're facing Kevin Brown, perhaps you need a little extra help. Largest crowd in the majors this season looking on, over 65,235 to be exact in attendance. And speaking of looking, that's all Craig Biggio could be doing here as he takes strike 3. First batter, the ball game, first K for Brown. Top of 2, no score. Brown gets himself in a jam. Brown tags Banks, leading off the inning. Next pitch, Moises Alou, base hit, right back at you. Next pitch, in a jam. Here's how you get out of a jam. Carl Everett, little ground ball. Kilvio Veras, he's going to tag Alou, and he's going to go to first for a double play. John, I smell a replay. Another look at Veras, makes the tag, makes the throw. Top 3, still no score. Bill Spires facing Kevin Brown, and Bill Spires won't be staying. We were scoreless after 3. Bottom 4, still zeros on the board. In fact, Mike Hampton had a no-hitter going through 3. Tony Gwynn, fly ball left field. Alou over to make the catch, but watch this. He's robbed by a fan. They rule Tony Gwynn out. Fan interference. Look at the fan reaching over the railing. The fan escorted out of the stadium. Tony Gwynn out. I guess you score that, a fly ball to left. Next batter, Greg Vaughn. Ground ball, shortstop Ricky Gutierrez. Nice play, and he gets his man. Hampton had a no-hitter going, and he was getting help from his defense. Bottom 6, the no-no still intact. Chris Gomez trying to break things up. Bingo! Saying no to the no-no. In fact, they would get Hampton on the ropes. After a Kevin Brown sac bunt and a Veras single, there were runners at first and third, and they had a chance with the right guy at the plate, Tony Gwynn. Little base hit drives in a run. In a ball game where 1 run might make all the difference, and indeed it was. A ground ball, they can't turn 2. Gomez scores 1-0 Padres. You need another look and give the assist to Kilvio Veras, who goes hard into second base, and Gwynn thus able to beat out the throw. Top 7, runner at first, nobody out. Carl Everett, base hit right field. Alou is headed to third. Tony Gwynn, who hasn't been doing it with the lumber, doing it with the leather. A cannon from Tony Gwynn, and Alou can't believe it. He's pegged at third. You had a lot of replays. How about another one here? Proves to be a good call. Gwynn got rid of the ball quickly, and they nail Alou, headed into third. After a hit batsman and a walk, bases loaded. Kevin Brown facing Biggio. Still hanging on to a 1-0 lead. Brown, remember, pitching on short rest. It appeared he had nothing left in the tank. Ball 4. Brown leaves after 6 2/3 terrific innings. Ball game tied at 1. He did not have a chance to win. Bottom 7 tied at 1 still. Jim Leyritz. They call him Mr. Clutch. Mr. October is Jim Leyritz. He's the second best story of this postseason after Shane Spencer. 2-1 as Leyritz does it again. Padres take a lead. Could we have another replay, please? Thank you very much. Jimmy Leyritz, as he did for the Yankees and as he's done already this postseason, coming through when they need him. Top of 9 now, 2 outs, 2 on Padres. Trevor Hoffman facing Pete Incaviglia. This was the pinch hitter they had. Hoffman strikes out the side of the 9th, and the Padres win 2-1 and take an identical 2-1 series lead. Kevin Brown now in the division series, 14 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, and division series record 21 strikeouts. No surprise here. Larry Dierker says he will start Randy Johnson in Game 4, but as to the Game 3 hero, when it was over, he had a chance to chat with our Chris Myers.
All right, thank you very much. We're with the San Diego's version of Mr. October. Another tremendous home run. That's 5 in the postseason. Of course, you had the one earlier in this series to tie, and you came up big in Game 1. Let's talk about the pitch that you hit, the 0-1 pitch for the game-winning homer.
Yeah, he did me first pitch slider, and I knew he threw hard, and he came back with the first pitch fastball. Came back with the slider, and I was able to get out in front of it and be able to hit it out of the stadium.
What is it about you? Because people, it's been brought out, the homer off Mark Wohlers, the Braves in the World Series, and then the homer to beat Seattle for the Yankees. What is it about you in postseason games going really against some very good pitchers and hitting the ball deep?
I don't want to think about it, to be honest with you. It's one of those things that I just go out there and, you know, I'm in those situations facing a guy like that, you're not supposed to be successful all the time. And I take it as no pressure and go out there and swing and see what happens. And fortunately, I've been able to come through.
So you don't think differently in these situations. It sure looks like you're a different performer in the postseason.
Well, no, but in the postseason, it's nice because I don't play every day. I've always wanted to be an everyday player, and I've never had that opportunity. And I kind of been able to get back some of that notoriety and some of that stuff by not playing every day in the postseason. And so far, it's worked out nice. All
right, Ellerton is the guy who hit the homer, but Hampton had been behind most of the way, but yet had shut you guys down. What was the thinking on the bench, especially with Kevin Brown not really having his best stuff in this game?
We just want to score a run. We figured if we got on the board first, we had an opportunity to win. Because Kevin, even though he didn't have his best stuff, was pitching a great game for us. You got to tip your hat to Hampton. He got behind a lot of hitters, but was able to come back and make his pitches. And he pitched a great game for him. And like I said, fortunately, Kevin was able to pitch a better game.
And I noticed the number 39 inscribed on your hat. Obviously, you were a Yankee. Darryl Strawberry, thinking of him at this time of need?
Oh, yeah, definitely. My prayers go out to him. And he was a pretty good close friend of mine. And matter of fact, I left his cousin some tickets tonight to the game. He's here. And like I said, I heard everything went okay as far as what could be expected, and I just hope he has a great recovery.
All right, and things went well for the Padres here. How important is this? You got a lot of free agents on this team. There's a stadium issue to win and to have the kind of success we saw it in the crowd tonight.
Oh, the pressure's definitely on us. I mean, if we're able to get to the next round and see what happens against the Braves, and I think it's going to help that much more. The more we can play baseball into October before the vote, I think the better off they'll be.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jim. Congratulations. All right, Jim Leyritz with another postseason home run here in San Diego for the 8th time in 12 meetings. A 1-run game. The Padres take this one. Let's go back to the studio.
All right, Chris, thank you. And there's no question about it, Jim Leyritz is clutch. A part-time player throughout his career. In the postseason, he's been dramatic. 33 career postseason at-bats, 4 of them resulting in dramatic home runs. Plenty more on the Padres' big win coming up later on SportsCenter.
After losing Game 3, Red Sox manager Jimmy Williams announced Pedro would start Game 4 against the Indians. Not Pedro Martinez, Pedro Schurik. And whether or not you agree with that, you have to respect Williams' courage. The easy thing to do would start Martinez on 3 days rest. There would be no PR risk in that, just like there's no risk in bringing in your closer after your starter goes 8 strong. But the respected Williams felt the smart move was Schurik and said he would live with that. With the Red Sox, Fenway, and there's Pistol Pete getting the start. Pedro looking on. Of course, he would pitch Game 5 if there is a Game 5. Mo Vaughn wearing number 39 in tribute to Darryl Strawberry, like many of the big league players in this postseason. Scoreless, his only strikeout of the game right there, Richie Sexson. Top of 4, more Schurik. Travis Fryman had stolen the base earlier in the game, this time picked off by Schurik, Vaughn, Nomar, Vaughn. Still scoreless. Bottom 4, yeah, baby. Nomar, will that cheese be for here or to go? Gone off Bartolo Colon, and his hair was perfect. 1-0 Red Sox, 3rd homer, 11th ribby of the postseason. 333 thus far. Nomar hitting. Same score, top of 6, Dave Justice on 2nd. Schurik comes out, 1-5 1/3 of 2-hit ball. Justice would be stranded at 2nd. Bottom 6, 2 on for the Red Sox. Trying to get more. Mike Stanley to left. Wendell Kim, third base coach, says, go ahead, John Valentin. Try it. Dave Justice says, you'll get nothing and like it. Another look from catcher Cam. I love catcher Cam. Justice all smiles. Third base coach Wendell Kim had a decision to make. Still 1-0, top of 7. Derek Lowe pitching well. Jim Thome, Sandy Alomar. Lowe retires all 5 batters, 19 pitches, 13 strikes. Top of 8, here comes Tom Gordon, their closer. In the 8th, he did it 5 times during the regular season, so not a stretch. Lofton single, Vizquel's first hit of the series. Here come the Indians. Next batter, triangle man, triangle man. Dave Justice, deep to right center, one hop off the wall. There's Lofton. Omar will score as well. And just like that, the Indians lead 2-1. Bottom 8, 1 out. The Red Sox try to rally. Mo. The other way, not far enough. About halfway up the wall, a little higher than halfway off the wall. Here comes Mo Bond. His only hit in the game, but he hit .412 in the series. He's a free agent. Could it be his last AB? Meanwhile, Nomar. Could he do it again? The high chopper, Fryman, nice play. 2 outs. 2 batters later. 2 men on. Troy O'Leary, 0 for 4, hit .063 in the series. Paul Shuey gets his way out of the jam. Bottom 9, 2 outs. Last chance for the Red Sox. Vaughn looks on. Nomar looks on.
Jackson a long look in at Alomar. The set, the pitch. A swing and a miss. Jackson has struck out Darren Bragg, and the Cleveland Indians are headed to New York.
With his arm and with his bat, Dave Justice gets the job done. Tribe wins 2-1. Pedro will not pitch Game 5. There is no Game 5. Nomar acknowledges the fans. He's Boston's most popular athlete right now. And the Indians, once again, to the ALCS. Their 3rd trip to the ALCS in 4 years, but still no championship in 50 years. 1948 was their last. The Red Sox last title, 1918. Since winning Game 5 of the '86 World Series, the Red Sox are 1-16 in the playoffs. Mike Jackson saved all 3 wins for the Indians, who begin their best-of-7 series in New York Tuesday night.
Play hard for 9 innings. Play as if there's no way in the world you're going to lose until that last out is made. And I think our focus was there, and I think that's what we did, and I think that's why we won this.
You know, Flash, he got us here. You know, he's done a great job for us all year. But, you know, that's baseball. You know, you're a closer. You want to go right at hitters, and sometimes you get beat.
He was a fresh arm. Lowe had done his job. He's been a starter before. I don't know how many times, maybe we haven't started him in the 8th, but he certainly has come in and got 5 outs before.
We got nothing to be ashamed of. All you can ask of anybody, you know, is to come out and push it and play hard, and this team did that. And they got nothing to hang their heads about. You know, I know we're a little dejected now, but if you look at all the wins and how we won and how we played, this team should be proud. And I'm proud to be a part of the 98 Red Sox.
We feel very good about ourselves, and we feel like we match up with anybody. Will we beat the Yankees? I have no clue, but we'll start finding that out on Tuesday.
Dave Justice, he has already equaled or surpassed some of his stats from the '97 playoffs, doing it in just 4 games compared to 18 last season. Remember, Justice hit just 185 with no extra base hits in the '97 World Series.
Well, so far so good for Darryl Strawberry, who underwent 3 hours of surgery at Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center in New York on Saturday, where 16 inches of his large intestine was removed, along with a cancerous tumor that doctors say nearly obstructed the intestine. Doctors also said the procedure was performed without complications, and there was no immediate evidence the disease had spread. Strawberry was said to be resting comfortably with his family after the operation. He's expected to be in the hospital for about a week. If you were born before 1910, your chances of living to be 90 years old were less than 3%. That basically means there are very, very few of you watching who remember the last time the Cubs won the World Series. Their streak is now 90 years and counting after becoming the 3rd straight victim of a first-round Atlanta Braves sweep. Shelley Smith has more from Wrigley Field.
For all the hits, home runs, and hoopla, what Sammy Sosa wanted most, to carry his teammates through the playoffs just as he carried them during the regular season, didn't happen.
I don't feel sorry for myself because we went over there and play the way we're supposed to be played. We do everything that we can to try to win, but, you know, they have a better team, they have a better pitching, and that's why they win 3 out of 3.
I've always said the World Series goes through Atlanta, and you know, people ask, are we worried about Atlanta? Well, we're going to have to play them sooner or later if we're going to get to the World Series, and tip your cap to them.
The Cubs say this season was magical in many ways, if only to give them a hunger for more next year.
1998, nobody going to forget. It's been an unbelievable year, but, you know, I got to get ready for 1999. So I had to say to myself that I'm going to go home, relax, and work hard, like always, and come back in 1999 ready to go again and make it for real to the, to the World Series.
The Cubbies had a great year, too. I think it's one of the best years Chicago's ever had. I know the Bulls have been great. The city goes bonkers over them, but this year I think the Cubs have brought you just about everything they could possibly bring to the table.
Joining me now is ESPN baseball analyst Dave Campbell. Dave, the fact that the Cubs were swept in this series, does it take anything away from Sammy Sosa's magnificent season?
Well, if you saw the reaction of the Cub fans afterwards, absolutely not. From my perspective, absolutely not. Sammy's probably a little disappointed. But in thinking back on this magnificent 1998 baseball season, the enduring memory I'm going to have is going to be how much fun Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire had, particularly when they were together. Sammy came from those very humble beginnings. He showed America how much fun this game could be. He was a joy to watch all season long.
Let's not forget about Greg Maddux. Again, he was dominating against his old team.
The professor, Bobby Cox calls him the smartest pitcher ever. Early in the game with the wind screaming in from right field, he just threw strikes, let the Cubs hit the ball as hard as they could. It wouldn't go out of the ballpark. And then when the Cubs zoomed in a little bit, he started throwing ground balls. He was just his masterful self.
They have pitching, they have defense, and they had timely hits, at least in Game 3. Can they get any better?
Well, I don't know. They can't play any better than they did in this series. I know that. But you got to remember back to 1996, the Braves were down 3-1 to the Cardinals. The next 5 games, 3 of them, they swept the Cardinals. They beat the Yankees the first 2. They outscored their opponents 48-2. Looked like it was all over, right? Then they lost 4 in a row. But if they keep focused, they're going to be awfully tough to beat.
Okay, for Dave Campbell, I'm Shelley Smith. Let's go back to the studio.
Shelley, thank you. Since the inception of the division series, the Braves are 12-1 in round 1, thanks mostly to the big 3. Maddux, Smoltz, and Glavine a combined 9-0, led by Mad Dog at 4-0. That's the most wins of anyone in the brief history of the LDS.
Any means necessary to score. But in the end, we're done in by the arm of David Justice, who single-handedly led the Tribe to a victory and a showdown with the Yankees. Mark Schwartz reports from Fenway Park.
He's a right fielder by trade. He's been a DH for well over a year. So how could the Red Sox have known that David Justice playing left would literally throw them out of the postseason?
He hasn't played left field a whole lot. He's been hurt. We know that. So that's basically, you know, calculating all the things that's happened. I thought it was a very good gamble.
In that situation, you want to be aggressive. You know, David Justice hasn't played left field a whole lot in his career, and you want him to make the throw.
You're right. I mean, I've been DHing for a long time, but I still feel like I'm an athlete. You know, I'm not one of those old guys that, you know, if he wasn't DHing, he'd be at home with the clicker.
The Sox were already up 1-0. John Valentin got an excellent jump off second, and Justice, who throws left-handed, was shaded towards center.
I made the decision to send him because of the angle he took towards the ball.
I understand what Wendell Kim was saying, though. I did have to come across, but by the time I got to the ball, I had already made the adjustment so that my momentum was going straight ahead.
Justice unveiled a gun on 3 previous occasions in games 3 and 4, but saved his best bullet for last.
I think David's getting a little arm happy because he hasn't been on the outfield, and every chance you get a chance to throw it, he's been doing that because he hasn't had a chance to throw all year.
You got to make him be the hero, basically.
If you hit a base at the left field, you really better be running because I'm a right fielder. I'm just playing left, so I'm going to have enough arm to throw you out with.
Though he had the game-winning hit, David Justice told me what he'll remember most about this game and be most proud of was the throw. Joining me now, ESPN baseball analyst Peter Gammons. Hey, Red Sox fans at least this time can say they were beaten by a superstar. Dave Justice is no Bucky Dent.
They should say that, although New Englanders tend to dwell on things. And they'll dwell on should Wendell Kim have sent John Valentin, should they have pitched Pete Shurek, Pedro Martinez. Hey, series didn't come down to that. Series came down to 3 things. 1, Charles Nagy and Bartolo Colon, along with the bullpen, pitched great. The bottom 4 hitters in the Red Sox order went 6 for 58 in the series. And when it came to crunch time, the Vizquels, the Justices, the Alomars, as they've done for 4 years, were all giants on the October stage.
Well, as you know, Peter, another thing that Red Sox fans are going to be thinking about all winter long, will Mo Vaughn, the heart and soul of this team, be back?
He was wonderful in the clubhouse after this last game. He said we several times. He talked about, I'll take this team anywhere. He wants to come back. It's up to ownership.
So there's not too much bad blood there?
Not with his teammates and with the city.
Okay, you heard it from Peter Gammons. That's it from here. From Boston, I'm Mark Schwartz. Now back to the studio.
The Indians reached the ALCS for the third time in 4 seasons. The Yankees in it for the second time in 3 years. New York took 7 of 11 during the regular season, but Indian fans don't despair because the Red Sox had taken 8 of 11 from the Tribe during the regular season. And Mike Greenberg's favorite player, Shane Spencer, he went 8 for 11 with 3 homers and 6 ribbies. With Chris Myers after the Padre victory.
All right, thank you very much. So for the third straight game in this series, a one-run game, the Padres with the 2-1 advantage. Tony, first talk about the importance of winning this game, the first one back here in San Diego.
Well, it was huge for us. You know, we went with Kevin Brown tonight, and he could have turned around and bit us, but, you know, both pitchers threw the ball extremely well, I felt like. Hampton did a heck of a job, no hit us for 5 innings. But it's a game of opportunities, and we scratched 1 run in. They came back and got another run. Layritz hit the home run, and it was enough. So for us, it's huge because coming home, we got a big crowd. They're really into it, and to come away with the W is big.
Talk about the first run when you beat out what looked like a double play ball to get the run home.
Well, in that situation, I'm just looking to get the run home. I don't care. Base hit, ground ball, fly ball, whatever it took, and I hit the ball to Ricky's left. Then he had to go get it a little bit. It gave me time to get down the line because I ain't the fastest guy in the world anymore. But I got down there and we got to run.
How is that Achilles, by the way?
The Achilles is fine. I fouled the ball off my other foot a couple the AB before, and but I'm fine. I'll be ready to go tomorrow.
All right, and then the key throw. You know, you won 5 Gold Gloves to go with those 8 batting titles. You get Alou at third. Did you think he was going all the way?
You know what? On that ball, I really got lucky because the football games that we've had out here really softened up the outfield. And the ball hit, and usually it would skip to the gap, but it just kind of checked up. I was right there, and I just tried to get it in. I didn't know for sure if Alou was going, but it was on the mark.
Post play, he was out finally. You get Randy Johnson in the shadows tomorrow. I know you're not happy about that for TV purposes, but this could be the clinching game for you guys.
It could be, you know, but tomorrow's game is going to be tough for both sides because 4:30, we got shadows, we got Randy Johnson. We're trying to face Randy Johnson. They're trying to face Sterling Hitchcock. Offensively, it's going to be tough for about the first hour, hour and a half, but after that, should be fun.
All right, congrats. Thanks for your time.
Okay, thanks.
Right, good luck the rest of the way. Tony Gwynn. All right, let's go back to the studio.
Game 4 starters. Randy Johnson has made 7 career postseason appearances, including the start in Game 1, while Hitchcock Sterling has only thrown 1 2/3 in the playoffs and none in 98. One thing to keep in mind, the big unit has lost 4 consecutive decisions in postseason play. More to